Well, hey everybody, welcome into this Adobe Illustrator tutorial. My name is Nathaniel Dodds, and today we're going to take a look at creating some of these kind of fun 3D geometric shapes. Everyone's making them. They're all over the internet. If you got some graph paper, you can sketch them out and have a lot of fun doing that. All sorts of cool things you can do. We're going to be making this particular one in Adobe Illustrator. It's a lot simpler than you think. You really don't need me to sit here and talk to you about it. Follow along. If you finish the video, if you create your own artwork, tag me on Instagram. I would love to see what you make. I'll give you a heart and give you a comment and all the stuff that Instagram is made of. Let's take a look at this. So here's a couple that I have already created. Let's get into it and get started by going File, New. We're going to create a new document here. I like to go 2560 by 1440. For most stuff, it's just what I like to do. And I'm going to create it. And here's where things get kind of fun. I'm going to pop out my panel options for my layers panel and just boost up our thumbnail sizes just so we can see them a little easier. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool here. Hold down Shift and drag out a rectangle. It doesn't really matter what the size is. All that matters is that it's a perfect square. And you can ensure that it's a perfect square by holding Shift while you drag it out. Constraints do a perfect square. Then you're going to come over here to your toolbar, select the fill, and we're going to get rid of the fill. We just want a stroke. And it should be a stroke that is 1 point in size. Now we are going to go Object, Path, and we're going to choose Split into Grid. Have you ever done this before? It's kind of cool. We're just going to make this a 50 row. We want to make sure the gutter is set to 0 and 50 column grid. We can hit the preview icon to see what we're doing. Interesting. And this is basically what your file should look like if you created a file that's 2560 by 1440. It'll be roughly around this size. Doesn't need to be exact. And then we're going to hit OK. Cool. We have our big grid selected. You can deselect it and we just have the grid. But we want to select it all. And we're going to go View and choose Guides. We're going to choose Make Guides. There's actually a nifty little hotkey here, Command 5, Control 5 on the PC. I'm just going to choose Make Guides. And boom, we've made our guides. And I'm going to rename my layer here, Guides, and I'm going to lock this layer because I don't want to fuss with those guides. I've got my guides. Then I'm going to create a new layer by hitting the new layer icon. And on this layer, we're going to place our artwork. Now, the cool thing about this, you can hit Command semicolon or Control semicolon to make your guides appear or disappear. Better yet, we can go View, and we want to make sure Smart Guides is turned on. This is essential. It's going to make your life so much easier. It's just a wonderful way to work with guides. Now, you may be wondering, hey, why didn't you just go View, show the grid, and do stuff with the grid? You could do that, but the fussing with the grid size and making the grid work just right is always kind of, frankly, it's annoying. I prefer making a grid this way. It's nice and easy, and it takes 25 seconds once you've done it a few times. You drag out your shape, split into a grid, Command 5 to make your grid a guide, and voila, there you go. You're ready to start drawing. And that's what we're ready to do, start drawing. So let's zoom in a little bit here, and we're going to make our base shape. Now, our base shape, we're going to do this with the pen tool. I am going to click, and you can see here we're getting all this stuff. Guide, anchor, intersection point, all this different stuff. I'm getting all that because I have Smart Guides turned on. All right, we're going to start with our center cube. So I'm just going to click on one of these anchor point intersection places, and I'm going to count 4 blocks down. Boom, I'm going to place that. And then I'm going to count 4 blocks to the right, and I'm going to drop down 2 blocks. And then I'm going to go 4 blocks to the right again and go up 2 blocks. I'm going to go up 4 blocks again. We're going to go in toward the center 4 blocks and up 2 blocks. And then I'm going to finish my shape. So I've got this hexagon exactly the way I want it. Now, how do we make this look like a cube? Well, we need to create a couple lines first. Now, in order to create a line which begins exactly on your anchor point, well, it's going to do that because we have our Smart Guides turned on. But the problem is, if you hover your pen tool over this anchor, can you see our icon there? It's that pen tool with the subtract icon. So if we just click, we're going to get rid of our anchor point. Well, that's a problem. We don't want to do that. So you want to shift click. So you hover over that anchor. When you see anchor, cool, hold down shift, and you can create a new path. And we're going to drag this up 4 cells, right? 4 cell widths. And then we're going to just pick either the left or the right side and join it to that corner. Boom. Now you can see the pen wants to keep drawing an anchor point or a path, excuse me. We don't want to do that. Just hit the enter or return key. Great. Hold down shift from that center point, and we're going to join this up over on this side, enter or return. Now, our shape looks a little funky, but if we hit Command semicolon, that would be Control semicolon on the PC, we can see we've got our cube looking pretty good. We can select the shape. We can bump up the stroke a couple ticks if we want, so it really sticks out. That might be helpful for us. All right, we're going to do another kind of outline around this shape now. So I'm going to do, I basically want this to be 4 cells away from the outside of my cube. So I'm going to start at the top center here, and I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and I want to make sure I get it right on that anchor point, that intersection point. It's very specific. And then I'm going to go down to the kind of the top right corner, if you will, and I'm going to go out 4 cells and up 2 cells. Then I'm going to drop down what would be 8 cells. So 4 cells gets me to like the midpoint of my shape. I want to go further than that. I want to go down 8 cells. So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. And we place an anchor point right there. Then we got to get this all the way back to the center, but of course we have to drop down 4 cells because that's the same distance on the top and the bottom. Cool. And we can go over to the kind of the bottom left corner, if you will, bump out 4 cells and then down 2. See this anchor point? It's on the same grid line as this anchor point. That's how we know we're cooking with fire here. All right, and then we're going to bring this up 8 cells, and then we're going to join that. Cool. We have our next hexagon surrounding our cube. Looking good. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to create a line that goes straight down like that. And then I'm going to create a line that comes in from this corner. So hold down Shift while clicking on that anchor point. Great. Enter or return again to finish creating that path. Start at that anchor point by Shift clicking, join it off, and then pen still wants to make paths. Hit Enter or return. We don't want it. All right, we got to do this yet another time. We're going to do it another 4 ticks outside of this. So we're going to start right up here in the middle. Cool. I'm going to come over to this. I'm going to go out 4 and then up 2. Looking good. I'm going to go right there. Cool. And then we're going to go down 4 off of the bottom center point. I know this probably seems weird, but once you've done it a few times, it all makes sense. See this anchor point? It's on that same grid line like we checked before. And this one here is going to be on the same grid point, or the grid line, I should say, of this anchor point up here. That's how we know our hexagon is going to work just perfectly for us. All right, now we want to join the corners that, like right here, this point has been joined by that straight line. So we want to join the corners that don't have a corresponding line on that inner hexagon. So we're going to Shift click from here to here, Enter or return to kind of close that off. We're going to Shift click from here to here. Great. And then from the bottom. So Shift click from here to here. Cool. So now we've created this initial shape. It's a shape that everybody creates, right? If you've looked at these isometric illustrations, if you look at these 3D grid drawings, I'm sure you've seen this shape. It's a fun, interesting shape. It looks really complex, but you can see it's kind of simple. Well, we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to do something even more wild with it. And that is, we're going to create kind of this brutalist architecture style, subway ceiling, concrete poured, cross-section of an old hospital from the 1980s. In fact, I don't even know. It's just kind of a fun way to, if we were to flip this and invert it and twist it each way, and we had it coming out of the top and bottom and left and right of each side, what it would look like. Well, here's how we're going to do it. Let's bring up our grid again here. And we're going to begin, if you can imagine, creating a plus shape on both sides. In fact, I can bring up my sketch page as a reference because we're going to be doing this guy right here in the middle, right? So that shape is what we want to create. So you can see how we have this middle area here already. Now we need to extend to these little pluses here, if I can remember how to move my finger across the paper. We need to make these a plus on the top, a plus on this side, and a plus over here on this side. So we need to do that. And that's what we're going to do right now. So let's begin, again, grabbing the pen tool, and let's extend the top first. So what we're going to do is look to extend from this straight line out over to here. And the other side of our plus is going to end on this line here, where our furthest right point of our shape is. So let's just Shift click to pick up I'm sorry, we don't even have to Shift click. We can just click to pick up our anchor point, and we're going to move over here, and there I go. I'm on that line. I know this is the correct anchor point or the correct grid point to place it because my line is running perfectly along the other lines. All right. Now you could count it out, and it's going to be the horizontal play on this is going to be the same number of boxes. Each side is going to have, what would it be? 4, 8, 12. So there's going to be 12 boxes on either side of the center vertical line. So it's 12 boxes over to this side, and then it's up whatever it would be, probably 6 blocks off of the top of this point here, I believe it would be. So right about here should be right. Great. And then we're going to do that move back to the left 4 boxes, because each of our side walls is 4 cells thick. So we're going to move back to the left 4 boxes and then up 2. So across 4 and up 2. And that is going to make a nice, perfect plus shape for that side of our shape. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to pick up from this point. We're going to shoot over to here. It should be right about there. We're going to come in 4, so in toward the center of our shape 4, and then bump it up 2 cells, and then come back across. Great. And we've created the top intersecting plus shape. Great. Doesn't look right quite yet, but it's going to look great in just a minute. Trust me, or don't trust me. Now we're going to shift click to create a new shape coming off of here. We're going to bring this down, and we want to bring this down a good number. It really doesn't matter if we get this exact. We can always adjust it later, and I can show you that. But I do kind of want to get it as right as possible. So I'm going to bring it 12 blocks below this point, and we're going to see if that works. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So right there is what I'm going to guess. And then we need to come across to the right 4 cells, as we've been doing, and then up 2. And then come back up to the top. Voila. Cool. So there's that side. And we're going to pick up off of this front guideline. We're going to come all the way over now. Now we need to extend beyond the edge here. It would be 12, I believe it would be 12 cells. So we go 4 here, another 4, and then another 4. So that would be to right there. So we're going to stick with this line until it looks right, and I must be 1 off. There we go. That should be right because we can see our line lines up perfectly. And then what do? We come down just 4 blocks. That's all we have to do here. Just straight down and then back across, and it should line up perfectly. So we've created the side plus shape. Let's do it here for the front. Let's come down, and we went down to, we're just going to go down to the same level as our other side here, right? You can see how that anchor point is on the same grid line. We're going to go to the left 4 cells and then up 2. Cool. And come back and connect that, and we've got our shape. Great. And then we need to do it here. We're going to shift click. Anytime a new shape needs to be created, we don't have a grid line that we're not a grid line, I'm sorry, a path that's existing that we can pull off of. Just hit shift to begin a new shape. Now we're going to come out on this side 12 blocks. So there's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is the grid line where we should end up. And right there, sure enough, you can see how that lines up perfectly. Now, this is just going to go up straight 4 cells, and we have our shape on that side. So now we have all of the pluses on the sides, on the top. That's looking great. We got to fill in what would be the side wall and the floor and the side walls down here. And this is as simple as creating a few triangles. So just hold down Shift and create these triangles. We're going to come in here. When it's, you can see it says the word intersect. That means you're exactly on the point. I mean, exactly precisely on that little corner there where those lines come together. We're going to create that triangle. There's one shape. Now we hold down Shift and we create another triangle here. And we want to make sure we're locking onto intersected points and corners. Great. We're going to do the same thing down here because we have a little bit of an overhang. Make sure you get into that intersect area. Right there, intersect, cool. And then out here to that anchor point and then pull that across, great. Hold down Shift to begin a new shape. We're at that intersect point. There's an anchor point there and an anchor point there, great. And then over here, we should have a couple more triangles. So I like to begin, if I can, with an anchor point, Shift click, of course. Find that intersect point in there. Sometimes you gotta kind of putz around a little bit. That's all right though. Bing, and we have one more shape to create here. Intersect, an anchor point out there and an anchor point there. And ladies and gents, look at what we've made. We have made a bit of a complex shape here. But how do we take this to the next level? Well, what we do is we join all of the faces together, like these plus-looking faces, and then we begin to color this. And we set it up so it's easy to change the colors. So we don't have 30 different shapes that we're changing the colors of all the time. Let's do this here. We're going to come over here and use the Shape Builder tool. Hotkey is Shift-M. Well, before we even grab the Shape Builder tool, select your entire shape. This also, by the way, is where it's useful just to have those guides down on their own layer. They're locked up. We're not messing with them. We're not adjusting them. We're not messing them up. We're not coloring them. They're not getting confused here. So once we have our shape selected, grab your shape builder tool and just draw a line through the shapes that you want to join. Now, if you don't have the shape builder tool, you have an older version of Illustrator, that's fine. You can go ahead and select these faces and use your Pathfinder panel and join them together as shapes. But with the shape builder tool, it's so easy to just come through here and say, hey, yeah, make those shapes. And once we've done that, you can see number one, it looks great and very cohesive kind of immediately. But also we now can begin colorizing this. And probably the fastest and easy way to do this is using the Live Paint Bucket. If you haven't used the Live Paint Bucket tool, it's a fun tool. I don't know what else to say. It's a cool tool. Up here in the color panel, we can select the color to begin with. Maybe we'll make this like an RGB or maybe a CMYK. So let's go cyan as our first color. We've got it set as our fill, and just click the faces that you want to be filled with cyan. So everything on the top down, as if a cyan light is shining straight down, all of those faces are going to be filled with cyan. So let's do that first. Boom, great. And then maybe all the left-facing faces, all the stuff that's pointing off to the left, we'll make that stuff magenta. So let's go get like a nice magenta-ish color. Cool. Just like that, right? I believe that's everything that way, right? And then, of course, our yellow would be the last one. We'll make it more of like a soft yellow, and a touch of orange maybe, just because we don't want it to be too crazy. Yellow can be very kind of abrasive on the eyes. All right, and look at that. Look what we just made. Cool. We've got it all colored. You can select the whole thing, of course. It's giving you a question mark for the fill color because the fills are 3 different colors, but the stroke is still all black. Well, let's play with the stroke. What if we bump it up to like, I don't know, 10 point? Well, that looks kind of interesting. You can see the corners are a little weird. So if we select the whole thing, we select stroke down here, we can say, hey, round off those corners. That's immediately going to clean that up. That's kind of interesting. Or if we just don't want there to be a stroke, select the stroke there and just hit the slash, and you just have clean shapes with the colors. Now, I'm going to select all this artwork and group it, object, group. And at this point, let me show you how to go about recoloring this artwork. And oh, I just dropped the hint, recolor artwork. We can come up here to edit and choose edit colors and choose recolor artwork. And we get this big dialog box. You can just tick this little thing here to get the advanced recolor dialog. It's just, I don't know, I think it's better. You have a lot more options at your service here. Now you can do a whole bunch of different things. We could say like, hey, edit, and we could unlink this stuff and begin selecting individual colors and change them simply like that. We could make it more of a smooth spectrum here. We could link this together and say, hey, we want everything to change together, right? We can get some interesting color designs this way. Maybe bring stuff in so it's not quite as saturated, make it a little bit lighter, things like that, if that's more your cup of tea. You could always add, or, well, it really doesn't make sense in this case to add or remove handles of color, but here on assign, you can assign a specific replacement color. So it's like we actually want to do RGB instead. So you can select the orange here, and we could say like, yeah, we want to make this kind of like a dark red, and then we want to go with like kind of a greenish color, but maybe more of a medium, heavy, thick green. And then we want kind of this, you know, sort of deeper blue color there. So if you got this really kind of ugly RGB thing going on, you can just say, hey, give me some grays. And then you can come down here and choose to swap the grays, right? And just keep clicking it and randomizing and seeing what you get in terms of making your shape look different that way as well. Or you can just go with bright colors, right? I got some reds, orange, yellow. That's kind of interesting. You can begin swapping colors through until you get something you really like. And really, you can spend a ton of time doing this. Usually what I would do is just go into here and specifically pick the colors I like, play with the color wheel a little bit until I find something that I really like, settle on that, and voila, you have your artwork created. And you can see how simple and easy it is to just go in and recolor it. And by the way, with this grouped, if you were to do something like, hey, I want to duplicate this group, so you just hold down Alt-Option, drag a copy of it out, maybe drag it straight down, right-click, arrange, send it to the back, bring it down until it's like aligned just to the bottom of our artwork, and then just reduce the opacity to 8% or something. So you have a little subtle reflection down there in the glassy floor. Ignore this stuff that's hanging out over the artboard. You would want to mask this and things like that. We're not going to cover all that right here, right now in this tutorial. But if you were to do this, to recolor the artwork, you could just select both groups now. So you've got the reflection and the artwork. And if you went back to recolor artwork, well, there's still only 3 colors that Illustrator knows it's working with. So if you change the pink to, I don't know, a bright green or something, it's going to do that in the artwork and in the reflection. So really kind of cool, the options that you have when it comes to kind of playing around with the artwork, with recolor artwork. But the real star of this tutorial is creating your own grid and using the smart guides to create this isometric style artwork. It's a whole bunch of fun to do. Really get in there and play around with it, because you can make all kinds of things. Look around on Instagram, look around on Behance. If you followed this tutorial through and you made your own isometric artwork, or you just copied what we did here, that's fine as well. Go ahead and upload it to Instagram, tag me in it. I would love to see it. I'll give you a little bit of love. And yeah, that's going to be it for this one, ladies and gents. Thanks for sticking around. I'm glad you made it all the way to the end if you did. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. That's it for this tutorial on isometric artwork. Get it, got it, good. Nathaniel Dodson, tutvid.com. I'll catch you in the next one.